This week on Nintendo Main, we talk about Ducktales. Woo! This week on Nintendo Main, we turn 30. This is our this is Nintendo Main Volume 30, Episode 30. Wow. All right.
And we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the game we're talking about.
Yeah? Is it 30 years?
No, it's not. I was hoping it would be, but it's not.
Oh, it's 89. We got 3 more years before 30 years. 27. Close enough. It was like our whatever that episode was. Anyway, we were your hosts. I'm Trey Johnson.
How's it going? It's me, Jeremy Mikowski.
It's Jeremy Mikowski. What's up, man? We're here after the E3 news, back again to give you some more Nintendo news and other stuff.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like trickle-down news that we didn't cover last week because a little bit more has been revealed about certain things.
One thing we did not report on, or did we? No, we did report on it last week. Before we get into the news, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I've been playing Ducktales. Woo. But I've also been playing a little bit of Mystic Quest on Super Nintendo. I started playing Conker's Bad Fur Day.
On 64?
And then I started playing Crystalis on NES. I've been playing a lot of games.
Oh, that's cool. Did you partake in any of the E3 sales from last week? Of the eShop?
Yeah, I bought both of the Oracle games for DS.
Oh yeah, I bought those too. I bought the Oracle Seasons and Ages, and I decided
I just grabbed both of them because it was like $7 for both of them, or maybe less.
I think it ended up being $6 something because they were both $3. I bought the Oracle games, and I bought Paper Mario 64 for like $4 because it was 50% off.
Did you ever buy it on the Wii?
No, I never got it on the Wii.
That's why I haven't bought it yet because I had it on the Wii.
Because it's $1, probably, right? Or $2 or however much it is.
Yeah, and I just haven't. I get a nice discount.
I never really got it. Like, I remember it was offered a couple times on Club Nintendo, but I never actually went for it, believe it or not. I was like, it's $5, and I always wanted to have another version of that game. I still have the cartridge, and my cartridge still works. It looks better on the Virtual Console one. They've cleaned it up. It actually looks pretty muddy, like if you play it through the 64 now. So I kind of wanted to have that version. And I thought about getting a Paper Jam, but it ended up losing to Rhythm Heaven Megamix, which I ended up buying. So I've been playing the crap out of that.
How do you like it?
I like it a lot. It's like I think it's my favorite one so far. I mean, it's hard to say, and I don't think that it has all of the games from the previous games, but it has a lot of them, and they're all kind of hidden in the game also, which is pretty cool. Like, I like the way it's set up. Like there's versions of the stuff from there's versions from the certain games from from regular Rhythm Heaven and Rhythm Heaven Fever. But then when you get farther on in the game, there's a second version of that's the one from the old game, if that makes sense. So there's like a game in Nintendo DS Rhythm Heaven that's called Fillbots, where like you hold the button and this little gas thing comes down and it fills this robot for however long, and then you have to let go at the right time. That was a game from the DS one. So the first time you play that game in the new 3DS one, it's a different song. But then when you get to the second part of it, it's the same song as the DS one. So it's kind of like hidden in the game like that. But I totally recommend it, and I think you should get it because you love like WarioWare Twisted, and it's the same company that made WarioWare. It's basically a lot of the same kind of games, except it's more like, music based.
Well, I did download the demo.
Yeah.
And so I had a couple questions for you about that. So I downloaded the demo, and it was pretty cool. And I did see, because I remember you had me play a version on the Wii one time. And it was the game where the reporter's interviewing the boxer, Luchador, I think.
Yeah, the dub. Yeah. That's like one of my favorite games. It was kind of fun because
there was about 5 games on it, and they were all button-based in the demo. They were all pretty easy, but I breezed through them pretty quick, and then I got to that, and it did the tutorial, but it didn't let me play the actual, so I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, it just kind of shows you. And I actually haven't found ringside yet in the game. in the actual game. So I don't know where that's at, but I know it's hidden in there somewhere. But I haven't beaten all of the regular stuff, and plus there's a shitload of unlockable stuff too as well that you can get.
So I wanted to know, like, the burning question for me is, are the DS games in there, does it use the touch screen?
It's optional. You can switch it. It's like a control option. Like you can either control it by tapping on the screen like you would in the original DS one, or you can use buttons.
Well, the DS one has
what it is.
You're like flicking coins essentially. That's an option in it.
This one's more like you hold different buttons to be like the flick. Is basically the way it works.
But the actual flick is not in the game so far.
I don't know. I haven't played it with the touchscreen option. I think if you play with the touchscreen option, it is. But if you don't, it's replaced by holding and releasing the button. Is what the flick is.
Oh, okay. I think
Yeah. So there's a game called Bluebirds in there where you're these birds, and every time the guy says check your beat, you like tap the screen 3 times and it like hits its beak on the floor and it goes wah, 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 or whatever. But there's a part where it says like stretch out your neck, and in the original game you would do a swipe for that. In the new one it's replaced by you just holding A and then releasing A, as consider that to be the swipe. So that's like when you touch the screen, and when you let go of the screen is when you let go of the button. It's basically
it's the same.
It's basically how they're emulating it through the button. But you can do it either way. You can switch it off and on in the settings.
Okay.
But if you want to play with the buttons, you'll play with the buttons, and it'll just.
But it doesn't on the fly switch to. All right, now we're using the touch screen. Now we're using the buttons.
Oh no, it doesn't do that. It's either it's you choose it in the options. You'd be like, I'm going to use the buttons for everything, so everything's going to be the buttons. So
that was something I was curious about, because the first game I ever played was the DS one. I think that was the first one that came out in the US, right?
Yeah, the DS one was the first one that came out in the US, and it was touchscreen based. But you can do that if you want. But I don't think you can do like the book, like how you hold it horizontally and all that. I don't think it works like that. But then again, I haven't tried the touchscreen mode yet because I'd rather just use the buttons, and it's fine. There's a couple that I think might be a little easier with the touchscreen, like just for the rhythm. You can use for like the one where you pluck the hairs off the onion. I think you played that one in the demo, right?
Yeah.
That's from like the very, very first Game Boy Advance Rhythm Heaven that did come out here. But when you get to the second version of that one, there's some really fast plucks where it's like double time, 16th notes. So you can use like the A button and the control pad to go back and forth, because you wouldn't be able to do it quick enough just with A, you know. So you have to kind of alternate. So you can do stuff like that for ones that are faster on the buttons. So I think that would work better than like tapping. I don't know. I guess you got to kind of just get a feel for it, but I think it's really fun. You know, it's very cool. There's lots and lots of stuff in it to do. There's like challenges. There's extra modes. There's got to be at least like 100 games in it. I don't know. I haven't counted all of them, but there's a ton of them. And it's they made it a little bit different. In the original Rhythm Heaven games, you unlock stuff by getting gold medals, and in this one, it's you can only unlock stuff by getting these rhythm balls, or flow balls is what they're called. And you get flow balls by either getting perfects on the songs or beating challenges. And there's challenges where they basically, where you basically play the levels again. Like you'll play like 3 or 4 in a row. And there'll be different like ways that it's extra difficult. It'll be like play this one, you can only mess up 2 times. Or it'll be like play this one and it'll be like double time. Or the next one, or there's ones that are like, cause there's like perfect hits where you hit the button at the right time, and then there's a little like rainbow explosion in the middle of the screen. There's ones where like where like the screen will get smaller and eventually it'll get eaten by this monster that's behind the screen. So you have to hit as many perfects as you can to like keep it big and away from the monster. Like stuff like that. There's like weird challenges in there that you have to complete to get flow balls. And with flow balls you can unlock more games and earn more flow balls to get like rhythm toys and stuff like that. So there's a lot of cool stuff in it.
I did notice in the demo there were certain points where they said you have to catch these things when they pass. They would like pass on the bottom screen. You would have to get a perfect as they went by.
Yeah. There's a challenge mode where there's like a window that says perfect on it, and it basically works the same way that the other Rhythm Heavens did, where like it would randomly choose a level for you to get perfect on, and then you get 3 chances to try it, and if you don't, then it'll go away for a while and it'll come back. I know in the Wii one, once you got golds on everything, you could try perfect at any time. You could try perfect for all of them because you already golded all of them. So I don't know if this one works like that. I haven't gotten golds on everything, but there's some really tough stuff on there. So it's, some of them are pretty hard.
Do you think this game works best with headphones?
I mean, I play it with headphones just because sometimes I play it like when Jess is asleep and I don't want to wake her up. But it's, I mean, you want to play it to where you can hear it, to where you can hear it well. I don't think it necessarily needs to be through headphones. It's a rhythm game. You need to be able to hear the music, obviously. You can't play it silent, obviously,
Well, I definitely enjoyed the demo I played. Like I said, I kind of blasted through it.
Yeah,
it was all basic tapping buttons.
Yeah, it's very short. I mean, I think the demos can be done in 15 minutes at the most, probably, if even that. But the game there's a lot of shit in it. It's totally worth $30. I mean, the game, I've played a lot of it, but there's still a lot to do on it. And it's kind of like Guitar Hero, but, different, where it's all about memorizing the songs, and knowing the rhythms and, that type of thing. And the soundtrack's great. There's a lot of, and the coolest thing on it that I loved is in the options, you can change all of the songs to Japanese language if you want. So I did that, and all the songs are in Japanese, and it's great. And the game is actually in English, the instructions are English, but when you play the songs, they're in Japanese. So I thought that was amazing that I can do that. So I can just play everything, and it's in Japanese, which I was super psyched about that.
It just changes the vocal tracks to Japanese.
Yeah, it just changes the vocal tracks to the Japanese song.
Cool.
Which is what I always liked. Which I always like to hear. Last week's episode, the intro I did was the Japanese version of a song from the first game, from the DS game, which is also in this one as well. But I always like to hear the Japanese versions of all of them. But now I can just switch to Japanese and just listen to those versions. So it's cool. I dig it. You just have to because there's audio cues in the games, so you have to just kind of figure out what that cue is in Japanese and just listen for it.
I really like that song from WarioWare Twist, or the first WarioWare. Had the vocals in it.
The one that sounds like a Japanese song?
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's like a lady singing, all in Japanese.
Yeah, I put it on one of the radios, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's Cat's Oriental Blues, I think that's what it's called. It's from the Cat and Anna level.
Okay, yeah, I really like that song.
Yeah, there's a lot of great songs in this one. Well, at the end of the last one, the last episode that we recorded, the end song of that was from Megamix, the one with the Japanese guy kind of yodeling or whatever.
Nice.
That was the sumo level, which has become my favorite new game from this game. But yeah, it's cool. It's totally cool, and I think you should check it out. I think you'll like it, especially if you like WarioWare stuff. It feels a lot like that, where you play the different stuff and unlock more stuff from it. Super over the top, super goofy, and it's just it's like WarioWare but weirder. But that's what I've been playing mostly is Rhythm Heaven.
I mean, it's WarioWare. It's the spiritual successor to it. I mean, WarioWare games come out occasionally. But...
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, it's the same company. It's the same guys who make the WarioWare games, make the Rhythm Heaven stuff. So you can tell it's the same art style. It's just different characters. There's some cameos. I've seen Ashley in there a couple times from WarioWare. And from what I read online, there's actually a mode that you can unlock that's called Rhythmware, where you play through one of the rhythm games, but WarioWare characters are in it. So they do little ways to reference the other stuff and put Easter eggs in there. So it's pretty cool.
Well, the demo made me want to play more, so I'll probably get it eventually.
Did you ever? I guess you didn't take the Splatoon plunge, right? You didn't go for the $40 discount price on that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I was wondering if you would. I mean, that is probably as cheap as it's been thus far. But if you did, you could play Splatfest this weekend, which there's another one of those.
What are the sides?
Early Birds First Night Owls. That's what it is. I don't know. I don't feel like I don't even remember which one I played. I think it might have been the hot dogs versus hamburgers, or no, pizzas versus hot dogs. I think I played that one, or maybe it was the Transformers one. I don't know. Yeah, but on that note, we can go to the news, right? Since that's a news. Apparently, Monolith is working on the new Zelda game. Monolith.
Yeah, a lot of people from the development team for the last Xenogears game, or Xenoblade rather.
Xenoblade Chronicles X.
They hopped over to help on Zelda once they were done with that project.
How's your progress going on that game, Xenoblade Chronicles X?
Same spot I've been for about 6 months now.
Yeah, I'm sure I mentioned it on here, but last time I was at my mom's house, she has a 60, 70 inch TV. It's huge. So I played Xenoblade Chronicles X on it for a few hours, and I was like, yeah, I still like this game. I don't know. It's still in the back of my mind. I still just want to get back into it and try to finish it. But
yeah, it's all grind for me.
I'll get there eventually. I still think about it. I still think about Xenoblade, and I'm like, man, I should play that again. But I have Tokyo Mirage Sessions on the horizon this Friday, which Polygon gave a 9.5. I read the review. It was very favorable to it. They said it was very, they said it was hard to put down, and it was written well, and everything was pretty catchy, and they liked the characters, and they said it looks really good and all that. So I'm excited about that. As far as
you
weird.
got it on pre-order? you said?
Yeah, I pre-ordered the disc. There's actually there's a collector's edition for that, which is like $80, which I'm not going to get, but it's still cool. I like it. I think it's cool when they do stuff like that. You know, it has like an art book and a soundtrack and some other shit in there.
And it uses Amiibo support, right?
Tokyo Mirage Sessions?
I thought Amiibo. Maybe not.
Oh, if it does, I haven't heard about it. It might for some. I don't remember. I haven't heard anything about it. If it does, I'll let you know. Well, our next week, I'm sure I'll have plenty to talk about for that game. Because
you're supposed to get it on Friday.
Yeah, and I reserved a copy of it because rare. It's going to be a rare game. I think. I mean, like a super quirky, like Japanese game like that is good to get a disc of. Because I feel like it's going to be limited release and it's going to be hard to find. That's why I reserved it, because I didn't think I'd be able to buy it if I didn't reserve it. Because stuff like that they don't send a whole lot out of. Like Bravely Default, the first one, the 3DS game. Apparently, like they sent out maybe 1-2 copies per store, and like a lot of people were pissed off because they couldn't find them anywhere. I mean, I downloaded mine, but I don't know, for stuff like that, it's better to just get a physical copy because it might be worth something later.
Yeah, I'm starting to wish I'd gotten the physical copy of Xenoblade.
Oh yeah, I got a physical copy of that, but I just didn't have it. I didn't have any room on my system either for it because it's gigantic. And the same with like Tokyo Mirage Sessions, just like 20 gigs, something like that. Like it's huge. Like I looked into downloading it. I'm like, I wonder how big it is. I'm like, oh yeah, it's gigantic. I might as well just get a disc. It's like I don't have enough space for it anyway. I have 128 gig USB and I've filled that. So it's like, speaking of GameStop, did you see that GameStop was saying that they were basically saying no to the rumor of NX not having discs?
Yeah, I saw they made a comment implying they would be reselling games.
Yeah, they made some comment about like I forget, somebody asked them about like the whole no optical drive thing. And they also said like if they only sold as much as Wii U, they'll still make money off of it. Is what they said as well. So and they said they were excited to carry it, from what I read. So I don't know, more to that not being a thing. I mean, I think that's a cool idea, but how are you going to do the cartridges? Oh, they also made a comment about cartridges, that they said that cartridges would be easier for them if they did use those, because they're easier to fix.
Okay. They're
easier to refurbish. So if like somebody brought them a broken cartridge, they could still buy it and fix it. Whereas if they brought a broken disc, that's it's a broken disc. So that might have hinted that maybe they are using cartridges. I don't know, because they said that they were excited about what they were doing, and at the same time they said that if they were doing cartridges, it would be much more beneficial for them. So maybe that means that they're into it. But it's just more interesting stuff about that. Apparently some random dude, claims that he knows information about NX. Says that it'll be like super powerful, which is contrary to what Reggie said at E3. Apparently somebody asked him about what the specs for NX were, and he said that wasn't important. He said that they're not interested in PS4 and Xbox One's Red Ocean, is what he said, which is basically callback on the whole like we're in the Blue Ocean stuff that they said before. So I don't know if that means hopefully it isn't less powerful, or hopefully it isn't, because that would suck. But that's what he said. Some other guy, some dude who's not Reggie, said that it's like as powerful, if not more powerful. And he also said that it'll be revealed at TGS, which, anybody could say that. So, more NX bullshit.
Well, I mean, it wasn't at E3, so it's going to be at TGS, right?
Well, that's the rumor. That's the rumor that they're going to... Well, they said that they were going to unveil it at a different event, is what they said. Is what Nintendo said. So people were thinking TGS because that's like the next closest thing. And that would be in September. So, I don't know. We still got to wait, I guess.
Well, that makes sense, too, because it's 6 months out from... So it'll be part of, like, here's our holiday releases. Yeah, here's our holiday releases, and then here's what's happening in March. Exactly. March is when it's going to happen.
Here's Paper Mario. Here you go.
Maybe a surprise game.
Yeah, I'm sure they got more stuff. Cooked up, maybe. I heard that the Federation Force has Amiibo support, so that's kind of cool, I guess. You can scan Samus and make your dude look like Samus, so you can pretend that you're playing like a regular Metroid game that everybody wants so badly. You can do that.
You're just really short and fat.
Yeah, the chibiness of the game is kind of sucks. Like I think that's another gripe, I guess, that people are getting into about it, is that the art style is not really what they want. But I still think it'll be a fun game. I think it'll be interesting, and I'm still totally.
Metroid's never been like a cutesy game.
on board to play it. But the idea of what they're doing with this, like the whole online co-op first-person thing on 3DS, I think that sounds cool, And it takes place in the Metroid universe, even better. I know it's different from what people wanted, but like I said, I loved Triforce Heroes, and if it's anything like that, I think it'll be great.
Yeah, you're just borrowing the mechanics for something new.
Yeah. It's basically kind of going to be like a mini version of like Destiny, the game that everybody seems to like so much. It'll be sort of like that, like team-based adventures or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone talk about that game in a long time.
About Destiny?
Yeah.
He must not know the right people. I think the only people I hear about it is like on podcasts. And I used to work with a girl at the Owl that would talk about it constantly, and I was like, shut up. And she was like a new gamer, so she had never really played anything good, Because I remember mentioning Chrono Trigger to her, and she's like, "What is that?" And I'm like, leave my site, get out of here. No, I didn't say that, but still. Like,
you were like, one of the people that worked on that founded Monolith Soft, and now they're helping with the new Zelda game.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's it for our news section, right? Do you want to take a break and go to the topic of the week?
Let's do it.
All right. So Ducktales. One of the first games that I beat on NES as a kid, and probably one of my favorites from being a kid. It's like in the same, like in our episode where we did the obscure NES games. I think it's in the same realm as like Batman. It's like a game that I ended up getting that was licensed that ended up being really cool, and it actually came out in the same year as Batman. So,
yeah, and similarly to me and Dino Wars, I think this game's definitely more challenging than Dino Wars. And it's much better. It was still a game I could go back to and play through, whenever I felt like I needed to build my confidence to play through a new game. I could still beat DuckTales.
Oh, sure. And this is, like I said, aside from anticipation, which I mentioned before, as far as games that I could beat, this was like probably the first one I think I actually beat, like other than anticipation. It was because my friend Daniel, his mom used to babysit me after school, and we would play the shit out of this game at his house. And he was like much better at games than I was, so we kind of just played through it together, and he, helped me find all the secrets to the levels. So I would kind of put that stuff together when I was playing on my own. It's like I knew where the extra, where you could get more hearts, or like where you could get the secret treasures, and where a lot of the extra lives were. So if you think of it in that way, it makes it a lot easier where you can know where the power ups are and go find it.
I actually went through this without getting any extra hearts. Still had 3 hearts at the end.
Oh, you didn't find Bubba Duck in the ice level? Oh man. So Bubba, do you remember Bubba Duck? He was the big dumb duck that they found he was the Encino Man of DuckTales.
Oh, okay. The Frozen store.
Did you watch much of DuckTales, the cartoon show?
Long ago as a child.
Yeah, I guess we could, to start off with, we could talk about the show. I mean, if anybody doesn't know, DuckTales it went for 3 seasons. They had 100 episodes from 87 to 90. And this game came out in 89, so it came out like right before the show ended. So I guess that kind of shows how much they put into it. They didn't just push it out. They actually spent some time like making the game, because I'm sure it started developing in 87 or 89 or 88.
Yeah, and DuckTales would go on to, I think the swan song of DuckTales for me was the movie Treasure of the Lost Lamp. I think that came out in 90.
I do remember the movie. Yeah, I think the movie was at the end of the show. And DuckTales 2, which we're going to...
It was a good movie.
Yeah. DuckTales 2, which we're going to cover later, that came out like 3 years after that movie. Do you remember the plot of the movie at all? Like, I remember enjoying it, but do you remember what happened? I know it had something
to do with a genie and a lamp. That's all I really remember.
Oh, okay. Well, you said it was good, so I was wondering how much you remembered of it, of the actual movie.
I want to watch it again after playing the game, because I had seen the movie before I played the game, I think. I also watched the TV show. I liked DuckTales a lot when I was originally playing this game. I was immersed in that universe.
I remember watching DuckTales in daycare, like where I'd go, because my mom would work later, so when I was younger, I would have to go somewhere after school so I could get babysat or whatever. And there were like daycare places that you would go to where there were a bunch of kids. And I remember watching where we had like a DuckTales time after school, where we watch whatever. And I remember doing that. I remember watching that. I remember renting this game, and then I think I got it as a present later. But it was probably another one that Nintendo Power swayed on me because it was on the front cover, which I actually found my old Nintendo Power with DuckTales on it. So I read through it just to look at some of like the names of the characters and just like some of the hints that they have. There's a couple maps in here. But as I was looking through this magazine, there's like absolutely no reviews of anything in this Nintendo Power. It's just basically maps and previews to other stuff. And
I
there's
guess there's no reason for them to review their own stuff. They were just promoting it.
But they did at one point. Like I remember in the Super Nintendo era, they did like review games where it would be like, well, they would say like have like a positive and a negative, which I mentioned in another episode. And I think towards the 64 times, they did actually start putting numbers on things. But I guess in the NES
the internet age.
Yeah, but I guess in the NES days, it was just, it was basically, Nintendo Power in itself was just basically an advertisement for Nintendo. But there's I was reading through it before we started this, and there's like a section, there's like a whole like 5-page section just explaining to you what the Game Boy is in here, which is hilarious because this was like right on the cusp of the release of the Game Boy. Wasn't the Game Boy 89?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Holiday 89.
So there's 5 pages in here explaining to you that the Game Boy is a miniature NES. In case you didn't know. Well, in 1989, nobody had seen a portable system before, so this shit's blowing their minds. But yeah, it's just
there was a DuckTales game for Game Boy. They came out a year.
There was 2 of them. Apparently, DuckTales 2 on Game Boy outsold DuckTales 2 on NES. So there you go. Because the DuckTales 2 came out with the Super Nintendo being out, when people were not interested anymore. I just think it's funny that it's,
extremely rare game to find.
I saw it on eBay for like $200 for DuckTales 2. But I did find DuckTales 1 for like $19, no shipping, so that's not that bad. Free shipping. But yeah, DuckTales, made by the same people as Mega Man. Like Keiji Inafune is on the credits for this, which is pretty awesome.
It used the same engine.
Yeah, pretty much. The Mega Man engine to a point. Well, it has like, the non-linear where you can pick the different levels and like the boss at the end of the levels, but you don't get power-ups. But yeah, it does feel very much like a Mega Man game.
The way
minus the shooting
into each other, it's very Mega Man, and then like the ropes, all that stuff.
I mean, yeah, it feels like a Mega Man game. But when it came out, I wasn't really playing Mega Man, so it kind of didn't feel like it until later, until I figured out what Mega Man was, and I was like, oh. Also the guy who produced it, who was the producer on this, Takuro Fujiwara, he created Ghosts and Goblins. Also, that's pretty cool. They had him on there as well.
Another fantastic side scroller, really hard. But
yeah, if you like torture, that's good. I got really close. I got pretty far in the Super Nintendo one, like playing it on the Wii Virtual Console, the Super Ghouls and Ghosts or Ghosts and Goblins, whatever it was. And I forget how far I got on that, but yeah, that is an insane game. It's a
lot of fun, but it's hard.
It's rough. Yeah, it's really rough. Well, on that one you have super moves too, though, which is pretty cool. You can charge your shots when you get the gold armor, which I thought was interesting. That's a game like we could return to on this show if you wanted to, or just that series as a whole.
But this game is not like that. This game's a lot more accessible, and I think it holds up well in the modern era.
Yeah, I think it still plays really well. I think it looks really well. Soundtrack is great. Like the song from the Moon is still like mentioned on multiple things. Like it's probably one of my favorite NES songs. I mean, I think it's fantastic. The whole like the pogo jumping thing, that was new. You'd never seen that before. That was interesting. I remember playing it for the first time and finding it weird that you had to figure out like this way to kill the enemies instead of just like jumping on them like you would in Mario. Where you basically had to jump and hold B and down. And I figured this out on my own somehow playing the game as a kid.
That's how we played it too. Yeah, we didn't have any sort of. We just bought the game. I think we bought it at the pawn shop for $10. And we liked DuckTales, so we bought it. Yeah, and we were playing it for hours, maybe not hours, quite a while before we discovered. Oh, hit down and B, and you bounce on the cane.
Yeah, totally. It's it's just weird though, just that that's in there, and it's kind of complex in its own way. Did you notice that they made that move a little bit easier in the second one, where all you do is hit B in the air and you don't have to hit down?
No, I didn't even notice because I was still hitting down.
Yeah, they changed it.
It seemed like it was a little easier to do the where you switch on and off.
Yeah, they changed it to where you don't have to press down like to make it do it in the second one. But so when I was a kid, I remember trying to jump on the bunnies in the Himalayas level. I tried to jump on them without the pogo, and I remember getting hit. And then you try to do the pogo, and then you sink into and then you get stuck in the snow. So I remember, I think that was probably maybe the first level I played on there. I just remember playing through it being like, what, this is weird, what is this stuff? But I eventually figured it out.
I don't know why, but we always played through the Transylvania level first. Like, I know you can play through them in order now, but for some reason, like the way we played it, we decided that was the best way to do it, was to start with Transylvania. So
oh, sure.
that was the first level I beat, and then I would play the Amazon after that.
Dude, the Amazon is a bitch. I don't like that level.
I think Amazon is the best level in the game. I actually wrote that.
Really? Wow.
It's the most level.
There was like, I felt like there were so many cheap ways that I died in there. Like those fucking bees on the top when you're jumping from one thing to another. You know, when Launchpad shows up, and that fucking part where the bridge falls. I died on that multiple times.
You just have to pogo over that.
I know you do, but there were a couple times where I got hit by a bee at a certain point and it didn't quite work right. And I'm just saying, I fucked up on the Amazon a lot. Like that, the Amazon level became like the bane of my existence on this game for this particular playthrough that I did before this episode. So yeah, that one kind of became my least favorite, but you know, to each his own.
One thing I did figure out about this level, like there's a spot where you get up to where Launchpad is in the Amazon, and then you're running right, and those guys show up to throw spears. You want to get a guy running from the left, he'll throw the spear, and then he keeps running to the right, and then you don't have to worry about the spear guys anymore. You just follow him. As long as you keep him on the screen, another one won't spawn. So like it's super easy.
Yeah, you can do that. You do the same thing with the bee. If you're good enough, you can get the bee to come from the right side and follow you, like when you get on the plane, so the other bee won't come up and kill you.
Yep.
Because the bee like always attacks you like while you're connected to the gyrocopter thing. But what I found is like when the gyrocopter goes to its highest, just jump there and then come down on your pogo and you'll hit that bee every time. Is what I did with that bee that comes from the left. And that made it a lot easier. There's also a shortcut to the last guy in the Amazon where you can completely skip all that stuff with those spear throwers. Where you can
you have
skip
to.
all of them.
There's a hidden chest that you jump up into and then you pogo off of it and you get to a rope up the top of the screen.
Yeah, and then you go up the top and then fall down.
Yep, that's pretty nice.
And I'm sure you figured out the part with, you know, where the statue asks you for money and you can just jump off the guy with the spear and climb up from there.
I did figure that out, but I always wondered, like, if you had the money, is there a secret there?
No, it's just a thing that appears. Did you, speaking of secrets, so did you find the bonus level?
No.
If you use Launchpad McQuack to bring you back at any time where there's a 7 in your collection, like where the number 7 is in the money that you've collected, you get taken to a secret like cloud level where Gyro Gearlos throws a bunch of diamonds at you.
Oh, I didn't.
It's just pretty cool. I found it. I found it in my first playthrough, which I ended up dying, and I didn't do it like when I beat it today finally. But if I would have done it, I probably would have gotten the extra ending because I was like pretty close to getting 10 million. Because if you get 10 million and the 2 secret treasures, you get a special ending where it shows him swimming in money, and it says that he had found 2 secret extra treasures. There's also an ending that you can beat with having no money, which I hadn't even heard about that. I don't know how. That's got to be fucking hard as shit to come through the whole thing and like come out with absolutely nothing. Like you cannot collect a single thing from the whole game.
No, spoiler alert, but does that tie to the very end of the game when you have to race the guy up to the top? Like, do you have to let him get the treasure?
I wondered about that, but by the time I got to that, I didn't want to chance it. You know, but I wondered if there's an ending for you losing to Flintheart Glomgold. If you lose to him, will it? If I remember correctly, I think when you lose to him, you just have to go back to fighting the vampire duck guy again and then you have to go back and do it again. I think
I did write down that it felt kind of cheap that the final boss level you just went through you went through another level again to the boss spot. Like there's nothing different about it. You just go to where the boss was in that level before.
Yeah. Well, all the treasures are gone. That's what's different from it. You can't like come back and get any more extra lives or anything like that. They're all gone. It was a thing that I wrote down like while I was playing it that I thought was really cool. Did you notice that? Like when you get a treasure, like if you die and come back, the treasure's gone. Like it'll keep track of what treasures you've gotten.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat. So when you go back to that second level, for that last boss, all the treasures are gone too. I thought that was kind of cool. I just like, that was probably one of the first games that I saw that had done that. But it's not just like all the treasures are gone when you die. It'll just be the ones that you got. So there's one that you didn't get, it'll still stay there until you get it. And then when you come back, it'll be gone. I thought that was really neat.
I did find when I played through this game though that a lot of muscle memory took over from when we used to play it as a kid. Like I'd find myself going the right direction to get through the level really quick and stuff. So
sure, but you don't remember where the secret treasures are Or did you get either of them? I forgot. Like I thought when I was playing it again this time, I thought there was one for every level, but there's only two. I remember.
I got those secret treasure.
There's one in the African mines and there's one on the moon.
Oh.
But they just they just add an extra million to your count at the end.
No, I don't think I found one in the moon. You said there's one in the mines too.
Yeah, the mines one is cool. Like both of them are cool because they involve pogoing off of enemies that are where there's a pit. There's a long pit and you jump and guys come out and you jump off of them. I like stuff like that. Did you find Mrs. Beakley?
I did find Mrs. Beakley.
Yeah, that's where it is. You know how there's Mrs. Beakley in the African mines and then there's that big pit to the right?
Yeah. And you jump.
If you jump out there, these little guys will come up and you can jump off them. And then
I got that.
And then there's a treasure at the end there. And if you go straight down from there, you'll go straight into the boss.
Yep, I did that.
So that would always be the way that I would go. It's just like straight to that treasure and then straight to the boss, and then you don't have to deal with the cart or like the ball or any of the other shit in the level. Makes it a lot easier.
You know what I did? I played through it tonight after I beat Ducktales 2. I went back to the first one. It was just like, I'm just going to see how far I can play, not using save states or anything like that. And I got to that part in the African mine. So I beat 3 levels, and then I died in Himalayas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when I was playing, because I played it on my NES, and I ended up finishing it on an emulator just because I was having some problems with my NES. I guess my controller was starting to freak out to where every time I hit B, it would hit start, too. So it would pause every time I started pogoing. So it kind of started to fuck me up. So I did a couple playthroughs. The first one I played all the way to the Dracula boss and died on the Dracula boss. And the second time, which sucked, and I got a game over from there. And then the second time was I played through all of the levels and died from that fucking stupid collapsing rock thing in the Amazon, and I died like 7 times. I had all the extra lives. So that was my experience last night, which was pretty fucking awful.
Oh, you played the Amazon level last?
Yeah, I played it last because I hate it. Because I hate it more than any of the other levels. Even though the boss isn't that bad. I mean, the boss is super easy for that one, but I just don't like that level because I just die in so many dumb ways, like all the time on there. I don't know. It seems like the one I just die more than anything else in the other one. And it seems like it's kind of in cheap ways because, like, you get hit by the bee in the wrong way, you fall through the pit or whatever. I don't know. I just had a hard time with that level, so I saved it for last, and I lost like all my lives on that level.
I always thought the moon was the hardest level, but
I like the moon. The moon's actually not that bad. If you know like where the key and where the remote is and all that, it's not bad at all. And the Lunar Rat, the boss of that level, is he's real easy.
He's still a little chaotic.
But they did actually what he's protecting is the green cheese of longevity. In case you didn't know, like
according green cheese of longevity.
Yeah, according to Nintendo Power. Which this is what I'm reading from it right now. But I loved how many characters they got from the actual show. Like I felt like they there was actually some time put into it. Gizmo Duck is in. Speaking of the moon level, Gizmo Duck's in there, which is pretty cool. Bubba Duck is in the Himalayas. He gives you your first heart, or well, depending on how you do it. The Magica Dispel, she was a character from the show, from Transylvania. The Roly Poly boss from African Mines is called the King of the Terra Firmies. I thought you'd get a kick out of that name.
Terra Firmies.
The Terra Firmies. Yeah, whatever that means. But listen to this description of him from Nintendo Power. This is pretty hilarious. The King of the Terra Firmies is stuck in this cave because he has grown too fat to fit through the doorway. He will roll himself into a ball and anything that gets in his way is a dead duck. Straight on Nintendo Power, people. That's
you just become a duck, even if you're not a duck.
Brilliance, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty. They had the Beagle brothers are in there. Mrs. Beakley, which we mentioned earlier. What's her name? Webby. Yeah, not Webley. That's Fraggle
Which Rock. I thought was really funny, and I did write this down.
Webby Vanderquack.
At the end of the game, like the nephews are like, "You couldn't have done this without us, Uncle Scrooge," and he's like, "Yeah, I have to give you guys credit," but he doesn't mention Webby. Like she helped him out too.
Oh yeah, well.
Fuck her. She's not like given any credit in the end.
She was added to the show. She wasn't in the original DuckTales comic book. She was added for appeal for females.
Oh well, I mean, she still gave out advice.
I'm not saying she's a lesser character. I'm just saying that's why they put her in there. Why they put her in there originally was in hopes to get more female fans of the show. She was written for the TV show. She should have been credited at the end. I don't know why not. Because she told you where the other ones were hid, like in the Transylvania one, which I think is funny because in the Transylvania, like I never save Huey ever. Where she's like, go save Huey. I'm like,
you don't need to. There's no reason to.
There's no reason to. Yeah, you can just go to the boss. So I never do it. But apparently he made it out somehow at the end there. But it wasn't for me. He must have just got fed up and defeated the Beagle Boys on his own.
Yeah, but I did go through the first time I played through it, I went mines and got to that spot that you can skip where you run up to the minecart and there's 3 little duck heads popping out. So I assume it's Huey, Dewey, and Louie. You jump in the minecart and go through the little section, and then you jump out of it and it goes down a pit. So I'm like, they all die? Like, they just like kill all my nephews.
Pretty much.
So I could live.
Well, you do what you can for money.
But they show up in later levels, so I guess they were fine. Which makes, why does Scrooge die? Why do they get to live? Why can't he just go pit?
Well, maybe they had extra dolls of them, since he collects the Scrooge dolls or represent his lives. That's how you get extra lives for Scrooge dolls. So maybe they have Huey, Dewey, and Louie dolls. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that is a pretty messed up part where he like just kind of kicks him off into the pit, and he's like, see you later.
But I will say, like, all the bosses are really easy.
Yeah, they're pretty easy. I have a hard time with Magicka Dispel. She can be kind of shitty. I mean, I know how to beat her, but I just
have to, like, after you bounce off her, you have to go the direction she's not facing, the opposite direction she's facing, and then her shit won't hit you. So you just like follow underneath her, and then when she falls down, you bounce on her immediately, and then go the opposite direction she's facing.
Yeah,
you'll always be safe.
Yeah, I just she would always fall like pretty randomly and hit me a lot of times, and you can actually jump. You can jump and hit like her tail and miss the lightning bolt to go straight up. Also, which I did a few times. I just in my playthrough that was the one that I had the hardest time with. She's pretty annoying. I like Luna Rat. Luna Rat's pretty easy, and the Abominable Snowman's really easy too. Which he's actually protecting the crown of Genghis Khan, which who knew?
So what are all the treasures? You listed them all.
Well, there's I said the green cheese of longevity. The crown of Genghis Khan is from the Himalayas. The Abominable Snowman is protecting that. Magicka Dispel is protecting the coin of the Lost Realm. That's what she has. And for some reason, the King of Terra Firmes, it doesn't say what his treasure is in Nintendo Power. It doesn't say what the Incan King's treasure is either. It just says his magnificent scepter. Is all that it says. But yeah, the Roly dude, it doesn't say anything about his gem on here. It's just whatever. I don't think it says the name. Well, I know there's the magic plate it doesn't say what the ring is. But yeah, it's the ring is the African mine treasure, and the one on the moon is this plate thing. I think it's like a mystical plate or magic plate or something like that.
Yeah, and then the Amazon you got some kind of rod with a red top on it.
Yeah, so that's the scepter. Yeah, which you get from the Incan King. King.
The Himalayas you get something that looks like a crown or a cake. That's what you just said.
Yeah, it's Genghis Khan's crown.
Genghis Khan.
Yeah. I like that all of the bad guys that are in there are all based off of something from the show, which I thought was interesting. Just very cool. Like even those, those weird looking alien guys that are walking around in the moon level.
The blobby ones?
Yeah. No, not, the big ones that kind of walk around with their hands at their hips. And they kind of strut around. That's Overlord Bolivan from Where No Duck Has Gone Before. He ends up abducting Launchpad McQuack in that episode. I just thought it was kind of cool that everything, it was like, it's like what you'd see from like a Batman game nowadays, or like a Lego game, like actually has like all the details of the show in the game, so you could tell that they actually paid attention. It's not just like some random character. I mean, it's neat that early, they did something as cool as that.
Those guys are just glorified platforms to bounce on.
Yeah, sure, but it feels like you're playing the show. Because they have all the characters. Did you ever play the remastered version of it? I didn't hear
a demo of it.
I didn't really hear any good things about it. I watched videos of it on YouTube, and it looked changed a lot from the original one. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there that I didn't recognize.
Mostly, I just was uninterested because all the little text things are fully voice acted by the original cast, which should have been amazing. Breaks up the game.
Yeah, that's what I heard. There's too much voiceover, and it adds more parts to the levels that actually weren't there. It adds like a couple minutes of dialogue in a spot that didn't have any dialogue before, and it's like, come on. I really wish they would have included the original game in there as an unlockable. Like, I would have bought it, like, just for that. It's a shame that they can't just put it out on Virtual Console. I don't know if there's some sort of weird. I mean, it can't be like a copyright thing because they remade the game. I don't know, or maybe they just have no interest in re-releasing that game. But I really wish they would. It'd be nice to buy it on a digital thing. I would totally buy it for any system if they did that.
Yeah, I would even play through the remaster, knowing that I had to do that to unlock the original version.
Yeah, I would do it too.
But right now, yeah, I'd rather just play the original because it's fine the way it is.
It is. I wish that there was a digital version of it to get, just to show support to the game and all that. Even though I have my original copy from when I was a kid, still I would get it in a heartbeat if it came out on Wii U tomorrow. If they really ended up releasing that, like 1 and 2, like they did for Star Tropics, that'd be great. I would love to play.
Well, and it'd be cheap
on the screen.
Too. It's like $5 probably.
Yeah, and then you could play it on the pad also. Well, do you want to move on to DuckTales 2 then? I mean, there's not really a whole lot. There's not really a whole lot more I think that we can say about this one.
No, we've covered it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, aside from it just being an awesome game, and it's a game I wanted to do an episode on at some point. There's not a whole lot. Like, I couldn't really find a whole lot of I couldn't really find any interviews about it aside from stuff about the remaster. Which, the only thing I could really find for interviews was interviews with WayForward. It didn't really have much to do with the original development. But Kiji Inafune, his game finally came out. Apparently people don't really care for it that much, but I'd still be interested in checking it out. But he's kind of too busy with Mighty Number 9 and all that now. But it'd be interesting to see what their choices were with all of that, and the characters they chose. But finding interviews on development stuff for NES games is difficult, unless you find like a newer version where they reference the older version. Seems like. But yeah, it's a great game. It's really fun. Like, I played the crap out of it when I was a kid, and a lot of people, it seems like a lot of people hold it in high regard. So if you haven't played it, you're able to get a hold of it, definitely check it out.
The controls are like super tight, it's not like I don't know. It feels like a solid first party game.
Yeah, it plays really well.
And obviously it inspired Shovel Knight. You like Shovel Knight.
Among other things.
Go back to the roots.
Among other things.
Yeah. Especially Shovel Knight, go back to the roots and play this game.
Sure. Well, you could. Was it a Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze with the Cranky? He can pogo now, and that's totally straight out of DuckTales. That Cranky Kong that you can play as, you can use his cane as a pogo stick. Even though that game, it is a lot harder than DuckTales because you have to push down and B, down and Y or whatever. You have to do it every single time before you hit the ground instead of just holding a button. It's incredibly annoying. But yeah, you can do that in that game. It's just way more difficult.
Yeah, in DuckTales you can just bounce all over the place.
For DuckTales, all you have to do is hold B after you hit B and down, and you can just move around with that. Whereas the other one, you have to push down and B every single time, which is missed opportunity, I think. Or it's the wrong way. They shouldn't have done it that way. I would have used Cranky more if you controlled more like Scrooge. But anyway. DuckTales 2. Now, DuckTales 2 was a game that I never really played because it came out in 93 and, by that time we all had Super Nintendos, right? We had moved on, I guess. And I had a Super Nintendo in 93 and we were late adopters, so this was a really late NES release. Yeah, along the same lines as Star Tropics 2 came out year after. But yeah, same sort of thing. Like, people had moved on to the 16-bit. Nobody really got into it. I wasn't able to play very much of it, but I understand the way it works. Like, there's upgrades this time. Gyro Gearloose is actually hidden in each level. He'll give you a new thing every time you find him. You can jump and do the golf swing now, which I thought was kind of crazy. That was kind of a little weird to do. But you can interact with stuff now by pulling on it with your cane, which is pretty cool. I watched the ship level where you'd make the cannons go and all that. I thought that was neat. So it's there's a really cool spot in one level where you move a treasure chest by hopping to the opposite side to control it as it moves. You switch sides to pull the switch. Oh, sure. Cool. One of my favorite things was the raft. With the gyro raft, because you smack that box into the water and it turns into a raft, and then you stand on the raft and then you hit the wall with your cane and it knocks the raft to the other way. I thought that was really neat. Yeah, and then they had some cool puzzles where you have to get the raft moving and then you're jumping on platforms above it as it goes, which reminded me of Donkey Kong Country, some of the minecart levels. Or not the minecart levels, in the first Donkey Kong Country there was some levels where there were moving platforms and you would set them in motion, then you would race them as they moved to hop on them past obstacles. Yeah, and that's kind of how the raft works.
in some of the later.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's kind of cool because without the raft, you're fucked. Like if you don't get it moving and then you try to jump, nothing's going to happen. You have to get that going underneath you so it completes the platforming section. So there's a lot more like tight platforming in the second one. I played all the way through this. I did use save states because I don't own the actual game. It's extreme.
Sure. What are the bosses like in the second one? I didn't get to play any of them.
They're just as easy, if not easy.
Just as easy. That flame guy from the was it the Niagara Falls or whatever that first level is? He looked tough. I mean, I watched like some playthrough stuff on YouTube. He looked kind of difficult just because of the way he moved, but I never actually got to him.
I didn't have much trouble with any of the bosses. Like once I found out their patterns, I had save states on my side, so that helped.
Did you find the pieces of the map?
I got 3 pieces of the map, I think, out of 5.
Oh, okay. Because they instead of like doing like the secret treasures, they actually have like a secret thing in each level, and if you find all of them, I guess there's another level that you get from that. I think I got the not the worst ending, but I got one of the worst endings because there's several endings. Is there? Is it 3? Are there 3 endings like the other one? Or are there more?
I think there's just 3, yeah.
Yeah.
And I got the ending where the ship sinks, but then someone recovers the treasure, so you're still fine, but you don't get like whatever the lost treasure of McDuck is or whatever.
Oh, okay.
That question is not answered the way I beat it.
Oh, because it's like his ancestor, right? Mm-hmm. It's like Fergus. Isn't it like Fergus McDuck, something like that? It's some weird name.
I think so.
I should have looked for my Nintendo Power for DuckTales too, but it probably wouldn't. I mean, it probably didn't have a cover by then. It was probably like Super Star Wars or some other like thing because they weren't really. Once the Super Nintendo came out, there were no longer any more NES covers, and I probably wouldn't have been able to find it, but. I'm sure it's in the back somewhere where they mentioned it at one point.
But I think it's the same rival. It is definitely Fergus McDuck, and I think it's the same rival from the last game, Flintheart Glomgold.
Yeah, Flintheart Glomgold. Well, he is the bad guy. Do you fight him at the end? Like, who's the final boss of this?
You don't fight him. You fight the version I played. So I don't know. Maybe the final boss is him. But I ended up fighting the D1000, a shape-shifting robot.
Are there different bosses depending on whether you find the map or not, or all of the map?
As far as I know, I mean, I just played through it this way, but yeah, I'm not seeing. There is the 6th stage you unlock by getting every piece of the map, and I don't know if there's a different boss. It doesn't say on this page.
That's something for our viewers to do, or our listeners to do, if they play this game. Play it and send us an email at nintendomain.podcast@gmail.com. Let us know. Let us know if there's a different ending or not.
But I will say, DuckTales 2, I played all the way through it. I beat it, like I said. It feels like the first game, like there's some extra mechanics added, but it's just as tight, controls just as well. You got the same, like, spam bad guys in every level that will just keep generating as you move.
Yeah.
Every level has some version of that.
You have, like, is it the same thing where, like, you can have one walk with you and the other ones won't appear? Or is that possible?
Yep, that's the same.
I like the, I don't know if I mentioned yet, but I like the little hooks that he can, like, hang on to. Like, that was a new thing. Like, the little, circles that you can like clasp onto with your cane.
Yeah, the hooks are really cool.
That's a nice, interesting thing. And you can pull those. You can pull those barrels too, like with your cane as well, where you can like hook it onto things and like grab it.
Yeah, and you keep upgrading your cane so you can break like different blocks with it and stuff.
Yeah. So there's like,
and then you can start like pulling larger items when you do the pull move.
Yeah, I like that you actually got like upgrades to your cane. The second one. I didn't even know the DuckTales 2 was a thing until I played that Dreamcast disc that we had with all the NES games on it. That was the first time I found out there was a DuckTales 2. And I'd never even heard of it before that. So that's how much I knew about DuckTales 2. So I didn't hear about it until what, like 99, 2000, whenever we had that thing.
That would have been like 2001.
Yeah, something like that. But that was the first time I ever played that game was on that Dreamcast disc we had with all the ROMs. But I'd never even heard of it before that. But I would have enjoyed it, if I would have played it when I was a kid. I just didn't know about it. And like I said, I already had Super Nintendo. Was just into other stuff at the time. Yeah, I wish the cartridge wasn't so expensive. I'd try to get one, but I'm not going to drop $200 on that.
Well, if you're interested, you can. If you want to have a cartridge, but you don't care if it's official, you can buy a version on Etsy, kind of like the Mother 3s that you can buy.
Oh, so yeah, like the Mother 3 that we had.
People make clone cards for this game that you can.
Oh, sure.
So
yeah,
you can actually own it, like, and play it on your hardware if you really want to. You just have to shell out $20 or $30, I think.
Yeah, I saw translated. That might have mentioned this before. I saw translated versions of like Dragon Quest 6 and 7 that you could buy as Super Nintendo cartridges to play, like on an American Super Nintendo on eBay. I saw people had made those like repro carts or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, where they like translate it and then sell it, but they sell it to you for like $70, and it's like, I just buy the DS game, you know. I don't need the actual Super Nintendo cartridge of it, and I couldn't find like the Dragon Quest III Super Nintendo one, which would be the one that I would want, but.
Well, I think this is one of those titles that's a strong, proponent for those repro cartridges, because you don't want to spend like $300 for this game, or $200 or whatever it is. If you want to
original,
if you want to play it on your like source hardware, just get the repro. It's going to be the same thing, just not. I guess it's not as collectible.
Yeah, it's just kind of like it's like a reprint, I guess, but not from the company. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like if you give like $200 to a collector, it's not really giving anything to the company anymore. Plus, all those guys don't even work for Capcom anymore. Like the guy who created Ghosts and Goblins, like he shortly disappeared from there to start Taito. So like right after that game came out, and like I said, Keiji Inafune, he's making those millions off of Mighty Number 9. So. It's kind of like just lost where it's at. So find it however you can. Play DuckTales 1 and 2. They're both great games. We fully recommend them, and they're great classic games. And if you haven't played either of them, totally do it. If you like Mega Man, you like Shovel Knight, they're totally very much like both those games.
But I would say even more accessible than Mega Man games. They're a lot more forgiving.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Mega Man's tough. I've only beat a couple of those, but I wouldn't have
Shovel
beat
Knight's
those when I was a kid.
Shovel Knight's a fairly forgiving game, but it's a more modern game. So this one's a nice roots game to check.
And Shovel Knight, you can also kind of gauge your difficulty on it. Like there's stuff that you can do that'll make it more difficult if you want to go that route. Like destroying your checkpoints, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, I think is there anything else to say about DuckTales? Like I said, there's not a whole lot of information about it. It's just something I want to do an episode about because DuckTales is a great game and it was a good show.
And it was a good movie.
And a good movie, which I should watch sometime. I was going to mention this earlier, but I didn't. Why doesn't, now that like Disney's like, they kind of have this thing with Netflix where they're going to put like all the Star Wars movies on there. And they're going to put, like, all the Marvel movies on there. I don't know if you read that or not. Why don't they just put, like, all the old fucking Disney cartoons on there? Is that, like, are they still making money off? I mean, I don't think there's any, like, are there DVD versions of DuckTales that they're still making money off of? I kind of wish they had some sort of streaming service where they'd, like, re-release, like, DuckTales and, like, Tailspin and, like, Chippendales and, like, all the stuff that we grew up watching. It'd be really cool to watch that again on a streaming service. I'm surprised they don't like go to Netflix on that, but maybe they will in the future. But it doesn't seem like they seem to care much now.
I think it would be like a Disney Channel kind of thing, like maybe its own subset of channels.
But they, like I said, they just made like a partnership thing with Netflix where they're going to put like the Marvel movies and the Star Wars movies on there. So why don't they just put their cartoons on there too? That's what I'm saying. Like if they're gonna do the other shit, just go with it. I mean, I don't think they're going to lose a whole lot of money if they put fucking the 3 seasons of DuckTales and the DuckTales movie on Netflix. I'm just saying, Disney, do it. It'd be great. We'd all watch it. Disney. I mean, I'm sure there'd be a lot of people that would watch DuckTales if they put it on Netflix. Just, go for it. And I think that's that then, right?
Yeah,
like I said, good for DuckTales. All right, well, that's been our episode 30.
Not Ponytails or Cottontails, but DuckTales.
That's right. It's a good song. So yeah. So enjoy time in Duckburg, and we'll see you next week.
See you later.